Hadouken! 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 Hadouken!
For the ones of you who are not Gen Xers and you didn't have a chance to live through the excitement of going to Blockbuster on a Friday night, I kind of feel sorry for you. There was a palpable excitement in going to this store on a Friday night to try and find the movie that you wanted to watch. Now, part of the excitement had to do with the fact that you didn't know the movie you wanted to rent was going to be there or not. And so what happened a lot of times is that you had backup movies. And one of the greatest backup movies in the history of Blockbuster was a movie called Bloodsport. So if you knew that if you couldn't get the movie that you wanted, Bloodsport's probably going to be there. And it's a good enough movie that you're going to enjoy it. And so basically Johnny Cage, which is Jean-Claude Van Damme, is not his actual name is like Frank Dukes. And, you know, he goes to a kumite in, I think it's Hong Kong, and it's basically Street Fighter. And so, you know, he fights Big Bad Bull Young, and of course he wins. We get that part of it. And it pretty much went on to inspire the two-person fighter games, which dominated a good decade and a half, 2 decades of the arcade. But the interesting thing about Bloodsport is that in this Passport Bros conversation, in the beginning, I think it was just, you know, African-American men and African-American women kind of going back and forth with each other. And it wasn't really a big thing because it's just kind of a thing in our community. We've always had the back and forth. But when toes started getting stepped on by people outside of the community, they don't play by the same rules because they don't hold their punches. And we're going to see some blood sport right here.
For you bozos that's going overseas to sleep with women from third world countries because they don't know no better, right?
But really, I want to know where these girls are getting their information from. We have been called poor, uneducated, can barely speak English, and now she's saying that girls from third world countries does not know any better. I've only seen...
Okay, so before I let this play all the way out, I think it's interesting to note that again, they're not playing by the same rules as us where we say, oh, we can't punch back or we can't fight back or we got to take it. These other cultures they're not going to take the slander. You're going to hear it.
I've seen one video of a white girl talking BS about girls from third world countries. I've seen a lot of black girls talking BS about us, discriminating. These are the people who's crying for racism and discrimination in the United States of America. You don't want to get discriminated, but you discriminate another race? That's what you call self-entitlement. And no, sweetheart, we are not going to do it that way. If you want to be a self-righteous person, fix your wig first.
Ooh,
damn.
It looks nasty. You see this? Not a wig.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So I'm reacting to the reactor, but yeah, I mean, it's a different ball game, right? Now, that's not what I'm most interested in. What's really interesting is we're seeing the conversation evolve now. And the Passport Bros conversation is becoming much more colorful because it's not just black men and black women going back and forth. It's actually a much more colorful conversation because other people's toes are getting stepped on. And there's pushback from a lot of different places. And so first I'll let you hear the video, but then I want to really get into the comments because this is really fascinating.
Y'all are not traditional. I don't know why y'all keep running with this word that you're looking for traditional women, but you're not traditional though. Traditional men wouldn't egg on women fighting, okay? Traditional men would break that up. Modern men, right, would allow women to fight, record it, and kiki and think it's funny.
Okay, so you pretty much know where that's going. It's modern men aren't man enough. Black men build. You're not doing a good enough job. We know where that's going. But it's really interesting because generally speaking, when we would hear posts like this, you would get pretty much one way kind of conversation, but that's not what happened under this post. So it starts out, so sad and insulting from every aspect that black women since enslaved Africans in the United States are berated around the world from every race and even black men. Black women are hurt because we love our men so hard. Okay, so love who loves you, but stop demeaning black women. Interesting because the actual back and forth started with the young African-American lady saying the things she said about the third world countries, and the pushback didn't come from black men. It came from a Filipino lady. Continuing. But it's okay to demean women from other cultures. Black women should look inwards. You can't dish out bile and expect not to get it back. Interesting. There's some of your pushback. Blah, blah. Why not just try to be a good wife? And then she says marriage is not a flex, but I find that interesting because as economic times kind of, transition, it kind of sort of is a flex. Continuing. On point with everything you said, too many black men or BMs like to see B-dubs at their lowest over them. Kings, I think not. Okay. If a BM, black man, wants to date via his passport, let him. They won't find us at the border trying to prevent black men from leaving America. And so a reply to that, I'm torn between loving and cracking up at this comment. We're volunteering to drop them off at the airport. Let me help you with that bag, sir. Interesting. Another reply, right, I wish our sisters would stop making videos about them. Let them go over there and trick. We don't want them anyway. These men, the men in those countries will handle them accordingly, of course, suggesting that the men in those countries are going to get mad and fight and kind of rise up against the passport bros. I'ma just need Asian girl to realize she wasn't the one to respond, LOL. Even the passport bums are not flying 18 hours for you, honey. They need a better delegate. So, you can see a good bit of the shame in the post. But remember now, the shame inside of the black community from, B-dubs to BMs that's kind of the norm. We've got, it's been normalized in talk shows and all that stuff, even, the pop music. But when it goes astray, you're going to get pushback. The sellout is real. The hatred towards his own kind is so palpable. A black man laughing at his mama, his sister, with a whole lot of other different people. You black, your mama black. Okay, no, that's coming. Correct. As long as a lot of women are no longer traditional, neither are men. They want your 100% and meet you halfway with their 50%. They want traditional, be traditional. And of course that gets the likes, but this is where you get some of the pushback. The only thing most women like about all that traditional stuff is the man paying for everything. Interesting. Over 60% of black women are already have children. They're disqualified from traditional. Now, I don't like to hear stats, so I wanted to make sure I threw some stats in here. This is from Statista. Single childless women, you see 40% for black women. So you understand the stat. And these are stats from the census for black men. At 34.8 million total black people, there's 16 million black men, and 36% are married, 67% unmarried, 52% never married, and 8.5% divorced. Compared to black women, and make sure you can see that 34 million, that would be 18.6 million. So you can see that there are about 2.5 million more black women. And the married number, there's slightly more married black women, but the percentage, of course, is different because there's 2.5 million more black women, almost 49% married, never married, 11.2% divorced versus 8.5% divorced. Okay, so stats done. Continuing. Traditional men marry and raise their children, provide, protect for their families, and do not need a woman's help to pay for the bills. Of course, that gets a ton of likes. Traditional men also marry traditional women who haven't already married, are virgins, can cook, clean properly, and who aren't confrontational. LOL, passport bros got y'all all up in y'all fifis. LOL, ooh wee. Big ups to the passport bros. This is hilarious. And yes, it is. The conversation is very riveting. No one wants this man. He's busted. So is the Filipino chick. In fact, they're a match. Wig or no wig, the sister's way better. So, of course, the shame, you're going to get the pushback. Girl, let the Filipino women get their money in peace. What's wrong with you? Again, what's interesting about this conversation is that it's not happening in a vacuum anymore. Real men don't defend black women nonsense. If y'all mad at black men going overseas to find a wife, then I suggest y'all be wives instead of acting like men. So when that conversation opens up, Again, you get it from many different directions. What I don't get is why some B-dubs degrade these women from other countries for taking in the corny ends. B-dubs never wanted in the first place. They're doing you a favor. A lot of women commenting on this subject, and they don't have a man, nor do they know how to take care of a man. Let them have those Filipino women. Just don't come back here when you need our support. Okay? Competition for jobs, for business, for resources is all global. Now is partners. And their reply to this was, and green cards, wait for it. Now, it's an interesting reply. I love USA, but you're thinking USA 20 years ago. Only the most desperate want to deal with $2,000 a month rents and daily mass shootings. And that's why I call it a blood sport. It's everybody's getting it. Everybody's getting it. It is not as cut and dry. It's not as black and white as we were led to believe it is. This conversation is becoming much more rounded. It's not just a you good, me bad, you bad, me good. It's not that simple anymore, because we're seeing, I'll put this comment back up here because I think it's really important. Competition for not just jobs and businesses and resources, but for partners. And you're starting to see some of the Filipino young ladies, you're seeing people in certain countries saying, hey, listen, at the end of the day, that's a man that's making $45, $50, $55, $75, $100,000 a year. I'll take him. And the comeback to that can't be you black, your mama black. And that's why it's such a fascinating conversation, because we're actually seeing competition for the passport bros. And people are saying, hey, listen, I'll take an upwardly mobile American dude that is trying to be decent and want to have a family. I'll take him. And that pushback of, well, you black, your mama black, that's not the best reaction to that. I'll put it that way. But I like to document stuff I see like this, because I think in the future we're going to see this kind of move in a direction where, I'll just put it simply, the black community is going to have to relocate and reinvent itself if it's going to survive in a healthy form, because the culture that we've generated now in America as black people, it's very, I hate to say it, but it's destructive. It's not healthy. And in order to have healthy, productive, well-performing black people moving to the future, it looks like one of the avenues for that is the Passport Bros. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care, guys. Later.